My child, as the evening shadows lengthen and the noise of another day begins to fade into the quieter hours of night, I want you to know that this moment has been specifically appointed for a divine encounter that will reshape everything about how you view your life. You have arrived at this message not by accident, but by providence that has been guiding your steps, even when you thought you were wandering aimlessly through circumstance. Tonight, in this sacred space between the closing of one day and the dawn of another, I am calling you into a profound experience of thanksgiving that will unlock doors you did not know existed and release blessings you had stopped believing were possible. What I am about to speak into your spirit carries the weight of eternal purpose, wrapped in the tenderness of a father who has never stopped watching over you with fierce and gentle love. The season of Thanksgiving that surrounds you on the calendar is merely a reflection of what I desire to establish permanently within your heart. While others treat gratitude as holiday obligation to be performed and then forgotten until next year, I am inviting you into a lifestyle of thanksgiving that will become the foundation for everything I want to build in and through your life. This is not religious exercise. This is spiritual revolution that begins tonight. You have spent far too many nights lying awake with worry as your unwanted companion, rehearsing fears about tomorrow while failing to recognize the faithfulness that carried you through today. The darkness of night has become associated in your mind with anxiety, with loneliness, with the haunting return of thoughts you successfully avoided during busier daylight hours. I am here to transform your nights from seasons of struggle into sanctuaries of thanksgiving. Consider what this day has contained that deserves your grateful attention before you release it into the past. You breathed thousands of breaths without conscious effort. Your heart beat tens of thousands of times without missing rhythm. Your body processed food into energy, fought off invisible invaders, repaired damaged cells, and maintained systems so complex that the greatest human minds can only partially comprehend them. None of this required your supervision. All of this was my gift to you, moment by moment, breath by breath, heartbeat by heartbeat. The people you encountered today, whether they brought you joy or frustration, were each part of my unfolding purpose for your life. Some taught you patience through their demands. Others offered kindness that softened difficult moments. Still others provided opportunities for you to demonstrate love that reflects my character. Every interaction, whether pleasant or challenging, contained seeds of growth that Thanksgiving helps you harvest rather than discard. The work you performed today, whether paid employment, domestic responsibilities, or the labor of navigating unemployment, was not wasted effort that the universe failed to notice. Every task completed, every problem solved, every challenge faced was seen by eyes that never close and recorded by memory that never forgets. Your faithfulness in small things positions you for faithfulness in larger things. Tonight, let Thanksgiving acknowledge the value of what ordinary days contain. But Thanksgiving is not merely about recognizing blessing after the fact. It is a spiritual posture that creates conditions for blessing to manifest. When gratitude becomes your default response to life, something shifts in the spiritual atmosphere around you. Doors that were locked begin to unlock. Opportunities that were hidden begin to reveal themselves. Provision that was delayed begins to flow. This is not magical thinking. This is kingdom reality, operating according to principles as reliable as the laws governing physical existence. Tonight, I am going to teach you secrets about Thanksgiving that most of my children have never understood. These are not secrets because I have hidden them, but because so few have been willing to sit long enough in my presence to receive them. The busyness of life creates noise that drowns out whispers that could transform everything. But you are here now, in the quiet of evening, positioned to receive what I have been waiting to give. Before I reveal these secrets, let me speak about why the night is such a significant time for this revelation. There is something about the night that creates conditions for deeper understanding. The distractions of day have faded. The demands that kept you running have paused. The mask you wear for others can be removed because you are here alone with me. In the vulnerability of night, truth can be received at depths that daylight activity prevents. Throughout history, my most significant encounters with my children have often occurred at night. I spoke to Abraham under stars too numerous to count, showing him the descendants who would carry his blessing. Jacob wrestled with my angel through the watches of the night, and emerged with a new name and a new destiny. I delivered Israel from Egypt at night, establishing Passover as perpetual reminder of midnight deliverance. The shepherds received the announcement of the Savior's birth, while keeping watch over their flocks by night. Even the resurrection occurred in darkness before dawn arrived to reveal what had happened. Tonight carries similar potential for transformation. As you receive this word in the quiet hours, something is happening that the noise of day would have obscured. Seeds are being planted in your spirit that will produce harvests you cannot yet imagine. Understanding is being imparted that will reshape your entire relationship with gratitude. By the time dawn arrives, you will be different from who you were when evening began. The first secret I want to reveal is this: Thanksgiving is warfare. When you choose gratitude in circumstances that seem to warrant complaint, you are engaging in battle against principalities and powers that have been assigned to steal your joy and destroy your faith. Every time you thank me despite difficulty, you strike a blow against the kingdom of darkness that had been counting on your surrender to despair. Your thanksgiving is not weakness. It is one of the most powerful weapons in your spiritual arsenal. Let me explain how this warfare operates in practical terms that you can apply immediately. The enemy's primary strategy is to control your focus. He knows that what you focus on expands in your experience. If he can keep your attention on what is wrong, what is lacking, what is failing, what is threatening, he can create a downward spiral of negativity that feeds on itself and grows stronger with each revolution. Complaint is the fuel that powers this spiral. Every negative word you speak gives the enemy material to work with. Every focus on lack creates openings for additional lack to enter. But Thanksgiving disrupts this strategy completely. When you choose to focus on what is right instead of what is wrong, when you express gratitude for what you have instead of complaining about what you lack, when you celebrate progress instead of mourning distance remaining, you cut off the enemy's supply line. He has no material to work with when gratitude is flowing. The darkness cannot maintain hold on a heart that is occupied with light. This is why the enemy works so relentlessly to keep your focus on what is wrong rather than what is right. He understands that a complaining Christian is a weakened Christian, and a thanksgiving Christian is a dangerous threat to his schemes. Every spirit of negativity, every whisper of discontent, every impulse toward criticism is strategic assault designed to disarm you by displacing gratitude from your heart. Recognize this strategy and refuse to cooperate with it. Think about the battles you have been facing, the financial pressure that keeps you awake at night, the relationship conflict that drains your emotional energy, the health concern that shadows your thoughts with worry, the career disappointment that makes you question your purpose. In each of these battles, the enemy has been working to keep your focus on the problem rather than the provision, on the obstacle rather than the opportunity, on what is failing rather than what is faithful. Tonight, I am equipping you with a warfare strategy that will turn the tide in every one of these battles. When anxiety attacks, do not try to argue with it or suppress it through willpower. Instead, launch a counter-offensive of thanksgiving. Begin thanking me for every blessing you can identify. Thank me out loud if circumstances permit. Thank me with specific detail that forces your mind to engage with abundance rather than lack. The enemy cannot maintain his position when you are actively celebrating what he hoped you would forget. When you wake in the night with anxious thoughts attempting to claim your peace, thanksgiving is the sword that drives them back. When circumstances seem to mock the promises you have believed, thanksgiving is the shield that protects your faith from despair. When the enemy reminds you of every failure, every disappointment, every unanswered prayer, thanksgiving is the battle cry that announces you will not be defeated by what he throws against you. I want to give you specific thanksgiving weapons for the specific battles you face. When financial worry attacks, thank me for provision already received. Thank me for the food in your pantry. Thank me for the roof over your head. Thank me for the income you have, however insufficient it may seem. Thank me for my promise that I will supply all your needs according to my riches and glory. Thank me for creative ideas that will open new streams of income. Thank me for doors that are opening even now that you cannot yet see. Thank me for the testimony of financial breakthrough that you will soon be sharing with others who are where you currently stand. When relationship conflict attacks, thank me for the relationships you have. Thank me for people who care about you despite their imperfect ways of showing it. Thank me for the growth that conflict is producing in your character. Thank me for the communication skills you are developing. Thank me for my presence in the midst of relational struggle. Thank me for the reconciliation that is possible when hearts are surrendered to my work. Thank me for the capacity to love that I have placed within you, a capacity that conflict cannot destroy even when it causes you to question it. When health concerns attack, thank me for the body you have. Thank me for the systems that are functioning even when other systems struggle. Thank me for medical knowledge and technology that previous generations lacked. Thank me for each day of life that you receive as gift. Thank me for the healing that I have already accomplished and for the healing that is still in progress. Thank me for the strength you have discovered in weakness. Thank me for the dependence on me that illness has produced. Thank me for the compassion for others that your own suffering has created. When career disappointment attacks, thank me for the work you have done and the skills you have developed. Thank me for the lessons that disappointment has taught you about what really matters. Thank me for the character that has been forged through professional struggle. Thank me for the doors that are opening even as others have closed. Thank me for the purpose that transcends any particular position or title. Thank me for my plan for your life that is better than any plan you could devise for yourself. The second secret is this: Thanksgiving accelerates manifestation. There is a direct correlation between the gratitude you express and the speed at which blessing materializes in your experience. This is not because I reward thankful behavior and withhold from the ungrateful like a petty deity keeping score. It is because Thanksgiving aligns you with the frequency on which blessing operates. Gratitude tunes your spirit to receive what I am constantly broadcasting. Complaint creates static that interferes with reception. Let me explain this more fully because it is critical to understand. I am always blessing. My nature is to give, to provide, to pour out abundance upon my children. The issue is never whether I am blessing, but whether you are positioned to receive what I am releasing. Many of my children live in scarcity not because I have withheld, but because they have positioned themselves through complaint and negativity in ways that block what I am trying to deliver. Consider how radio works in the physical realm. Radio stations broadcast constantly, sending out signals that carry music, news, and communication. But if your radio is not tuned to the right frequency, you receive nothing but static. The broadcast continues regardless. The problem is not lack of transmission but lack of reception. Your tuning determines what you receive. Thanksgiving tunes your spirit to the frequency of blessing. When you begin expressing gratitude consistently, you are adjusting your spiritual receiver to pick up what I have been broadcasting all along. Blessing that seemed distant suddenly becomes near. Provision that seemed blocked suddenly flows freely. Doors that seemed locked suddenly swing open. Nothing has changed in what I am sending. Everything has changed in what you are receiving. Consider how this works practically. Two people can face identical circumstances. One responds with complaint, focusing on what is wrong, amplifying difficulty, expecting the worst. The other responds with thanksgiving, acknowledging blessing within difficulty, choosing faith over fear, expecting breakthrough. Over time, their circumstances begin to diverge dramatically, not because external conditions favored one over the other, but because internal responses created different outcomes from the same starting points. You have wondered why some people seem to experience consistent blessing while you struggle despite sincere faith. Often the difference is not in the depth of belief, but in the consistency of thanksgiving. Those who prosper spiritually have learned to thank me continuously, in good times and bad, in abundance and scarcity, in victory and apparent defeat. Their thanksgiving does not depend on circumstance. It depends on my character, which remains constant regardless of what changes around them. I want to give you a specific practice that will demonstrate this principle of accelerated manifestation. Choose one area of your life where you have been waiting for breakthrough. Perhaps it is financial provision. Perhaps it is relational healing. Perhaps it is physical restoration. Perhaps it is career advancement. Whatever the area, commit to thanking me for breakthrough in that area every day for the next 30 days. Not asking, not begging, not pleading, simply thanking, as though the breakthrough has already occurred. This is not denial of current reality. It is acknowledgement of higher reality that exists in the spiritual realm before it manifests in the physical. When you thank me consistently for what has not yet appeared, you are aligning yourself with the frequency on which that blessing operates. You are tuning your receiver to pick up what has already been broadcast. You are positioning yourself to receive what I have been waiting to deliver. The third secret is this: thanksgiving is prophetic. When you thank me for what has not yet materialized in your experience, you are engaging in prophetic declaration that calls things that are not as though they were. This is not denial of reality. It is recognition of higher reality that eventually manifests in lower dimensions. What exists in heaven before it appears on earth can be accessed through thanksgiving that believes before it sees. This prophetic dimension of thanksgiving is rooted in the nature of faith itself. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. When you exercise faith, you are interacting with reality that has not yet become visible in your experience. You are reaching into the realm where answers already exist and pulling them toward manifestation in your current circumstances. Thanksgiving is one of the most powerful ways to exercise this kind of faith. When I instruct you to thank me for healing while symptoms persist, I am not asking you to pretend you are not sick. I am inviting you to engage with the healing that already exists in the spiritual realm and to participate in drawing it into physical manifestation. Your thanksgiving becomes prophetic declaration that what is true in heaven will become true on earth. When I instruct you to thank me for provision while bills pile up, I am not asking you to ignore financial reality. I am inviting you to engage with the abundance that exists in my kingdom and to participate in its release into your experience. Your thanksgiving becomes prophetic declaration that lack is temporary and provision is coming. When I instruct you to thank me for breakthrough while obstacles remain, I am not asking you to deny the difficulty you face. I am inviting you to engage with the victory that already exists in the spiritual realm and to participate in its manifestation in your circumstances. Your thanksgiving becomes prophetic declaration that what seems impossible will become reality. This is why I instruct you to thank me for healing while symptoms persist, to thank me for provision while bills pile up, to thank me for breakthrough while obstacles remain. Your thanksgiving in the absence of evidence is not fantasy or wishful thinking. It is faith expressing itself in the language of gratitude, and faith that expresses itself always produces results that faith held silent cannot achieve. Think about this carefully. The thanksgiving you speak tonight for tomorrow's blessing is already influencing tomorrow's outcome. The gratitude you express now for next year's breakthrough is already shaping next year's manifestation. Your words of appreciation for what I will do are participating in creating what I will do. You are not passive recipient of predetermined destiny. You are active participant in the unfolding of your own story, and thanksgiving is one of the primary ways you influence how that story develops. I want to give you specific prophetic thanksgivings to speak over your life. These are declarations of gratitude for realities that have not yet manifested, but that will become true as you speak them in faith. Thank me for the financial abundance that is flowing toward you even now. Thank me for debts that are being canceled, for income that is increasing, for unexpected provision that will arrive through channels you have not anticipated. Thank me that you will live the rest of your life in sufficiency, with more than enough to meet your needs and to generously bless others. Thank me for the relationships that are being healed, even as you speak. Thank me for restoration with family members, for reconciliation with friends, for resolution of conflicts that have seemed impossible. Thank me for the deep and meaningful connections that are forming, for the community that is gathering around you, for the love that is multiplying in your experience. Thank me for the health that is being restored to every system of your body. Thank me for cells that are regenerating, for functions that are normalizing, for energy that is returning. Thank me for the years of vitality that stretch ahead, for the strength to fulfill your purpose, for the wellness that is becoming your normal experience. Thank me for the purpose that is becoming clear to you. Thank me for the direction that is emerging, for the assignments that are being revealed, for the calling that is being confirmed. Thank me for the impact you will have, for the lives you will touch, for the legacy you will leave. These prophetic thanksgivings are not wishful thinking. They are faith-filled declarations that participate in creating the reality they describe. Speak them consistently. Believe them completely. Watch them manifest progressively. The fourth secret is this: Thanksgiving transforms memory. Your past is not fixed in the way you have assumed. The events themselves cannot be changed, but their meaning can be transformed through thanksgiving that sees what gratitude reveals. What you have interpreted as failure may have been protection. What you experienced as loss may have been redirection. What felt like abandonment may have been preparation for independence you needed to develop. Thanksgiving revisits the past with new eyes and discovers treasure hidden in what was previously only painful. This secret is particularly important for those who carry wounds from the past that continue to influence the present. Many of my children are trapped in prisons constructed from painful memories. They replay hurts over and over, allowing old wounds to remain fresh and to continue producing pain in current experience. The enemy exploits these wounds, using them as access points for accusation, shame, and despair. But Thanksgiving has power to transform these memories. Not by denying that painful events occurred, not by pretending that harm was not harm, but by revealing aspects of those events that pain obscured when they were happening. Every difficult season contained blessings that difficulty hid from view. Every painful relationship taught lessons that could not have been learned any other way. Every failure provided wisdom that success never could have supplied. Tonight, as this day closes and you prepare for sleep, I invite you to revisit not just this day but larger seasons of your life through the lens of Thanksgiving. That relationship that ended painfully taught you something about your own capacity for love and your need for healthier patterns. Thank me for that teaching, even as you acknowledge the pain of how it was delivered. That job you lost redirected you toward work more aligned with your purpose. Thank me for the redirection, even as you remember the fear and uncertainty that accompanied the loss. That illness you suffered deepened your dependence on me and your compassion for others. Thank me for the deepening, even as you acknowledge how much you wished for easier methods of growth. Nothing has been wasted. Everything has contributed. Thanksgiving reveals what complaint obscured. I want to give you a specific practice for transforming memory through Thanksgiving. Think of the 3 most painful experiences of your life, the events you most wish had never happened, the seasons you would erase if you could rewrite your history. Now, for each of these experiences, find 5 things for which you can thank me. This is not easy. It will require you to look at painful memories from angles you have avoided. It will demand that you find blessing where you have only seen curse. But as you do this difficult work, something will shift. The memories will not disappear, but their power will diminish. The pain will not vanish, but its grip will loosen. You will discover that even the worst chapters of your story contain gifts that gratitude can unwrap. The 5th secret is this: Thanksgiving creates inheritance for generations. What you practice does not terminate with you. The gratitude you cultivate becomes spiritual legacy that influences children you raise and descendants you will never meet. Conversely, the complaint you normalize becomes pattern that repeats through family lines until someone decides to break the cycle. You are not just choosing your own response to life. You are establishing template that others will unconsciously follow. This generational impact of Thanksgiving is one of its most powerful, yet least understood dimensions. When you choose gratitude, you are not just improving your own experience. You are establishing patterns that will influence everyone who follows in your lineage. Your children observe how you respond to difficulty. They learn from what they see more than from what they are told. If they see you complaining consistently, they internalize complaint as the normal response to life. If they see you thanking me consistently, they internalize thanksgiving as the normal response. Consider what you want your children to inherit. Do you want them to face life with eyes that see abundance or eyes that see only lack? Do you want them to meet difficulty with faith or with fear? Do you want them to speak blessing or to speak curse over their own circumstances? They will learn far more from what they observe in your consistent behavior than from what you occasionally tell them in deliberate instruction. Your Thanksgiving tonight is teaching tomorrow's gratitude to everyone who watches your life, but the impact extends beyond your immediate children to descendants you will never meet. Spiritual patterns establish themselves in family lines and repeat across generations until someone intentionally breaks them. If your family has been characterized by negativity and complaint, that pattern has been transmitted from parent to child for generations. But tonight, you have the opportunity to become the pattern breaker, the one who establishes a new template of thanksgiving that will influence generations you will never see. Think about the family you came from. Was gratitude the dominant frequency in your childhood home, or was complaint? Was Thanksgiving practiced consistently, or was it reserved for special occasions? Were you taught to see blessing, or to focus on lack? Whatever patterns you inherited, you have the power to change them. What was passed to you does not have to be passed through you. Tonight can be the night when generational patterns of complaint are broken and new patterns of thanksgiving begin. Now let me speak about the specific areas of your life where thanksgiving is needed tonight. I am not speaking generally. I am speaking with precision that requires your careful attention. Some of what I say will feel comfortable. Other parts will challenge assumptions you have carried for years. Receive all of it with open heart, knowing that my instruction is always motivated by love and always directed toward your greatest good. Begin with thanksgiving for your physical body. You have criticized it far more than you have celebrated it. You have focused on what is wrong with it while ignoring what is gloriously right. Your body has served you faithfully for years, carrying you through experiences, enabling you to interact with physical reality, housing the spirit that is the true you. Yes, it has limitations. Yes, it has sometimes malfunctioned, but it has also healed from injuries, recovered from illnesses, and continued functioning when you gave it far less care than it deserved. Tonight, thank me for your body. Thank me for eyes that see, however imperfectly. Thank me for ears that hear, however partially. Thank me for hands that can touch and hold and create. Thank me for legs that can carry you from place to place. Thank me for a brain that processes information so complex that no computer can fully replicate it. Thank me for the miracle of physical existence that you have taken for granted, because it has been so constant. If your body has significant challenges, if illness or disability has limited your physical experience, thanksgiving still applies with power to shift what can be shifted. Thank me for what still functions. Thank me for the medical knowledge and technology that helps manage your condition. Thank me for each day you continue to live and breathe and fight. Thank me that your physical limitations have not and cannot limit your spiritual potential. The body is temporary container for eternal soul, and thanksgiving for both prepares you for the wholeness that awaits in dimensions beyond this current existence. Let me speak more specifically about thanksgiving for different aspects of your physical body. Thank me for your heart, that faithful muscle that has been beating without rest since before you were born. It has pumped blood through your body countless times, delivering oxygen and nutrients to every cell, carrying away waste, maintaining the conditions necessary for life. It has continued this work through every experience you have had, every emotion you have felt, every challenge you have faced. Your heart has never taken a vacation, never requested a day off, never stopped working on your behalf. Thank me for your lungs, those remarkable organs that convert air into life. They expand and contract thousands of times each day, extracting oxygen from the atmosphere and releasing carbon dioxide, performing this exchange so automatically that you rarely think about breathing unless something interferes with it. Your lungs have kept you alive through every season, every climate, every altitude you have experienced. Thank me for your digestive system. that complex machinery that converts the food you eat into the energy you need. From the moment food enters your mouth, an intricate process begins that breaks down nutrients, absorbs what is useful, and eliminates what is not. This process happens without your conscious direction, orchestrated by wisdom built into your body's design. Thank me for your immune system, that invisible army that fights constantly to protect you from invaders you never see. Your body is under continuous assault from bacteria, viruses, and other threats. Your immune system identifies these threats and neutralizes them, usually without you ever becoming aware of the battle that was fought and won on your behalf. Most of the illnesses you have never experienced were prevented by this faithful defender. Thank me for your nervous system, that intricate network that carries information throughout your body at astonishing speed. It allows you to feel, to react, to coordinate movement, to experience pleasure and avoid pain. It connects every part of your body to every other part, creating the unified experience that is your physical existence. Now let me speak about Thanksgiving for your mind. Your brain has processed millions of thoughts, solved countless problems, stored memories that span decades, and enabled you to learn, grow, reason, and create. The mental capacity you exercise daily is a gift so profound that its presence feels ordinary only because you have never been without it. Those who have lost mental capacity through injury or disease understand what you have forgotten to appreciate. Thank me for the ability to think, to plan, to imagine, to remember. Thank me for the ideas that come to you, for the solutions that emerge when problems seemed impossible, for the creativity that expresses itself in ways unique to who you are. Thank me for the mind I have given you, even as you asked me to renew it and transform it to align more fully with my thoughts. If you struggle with mental health challenges, with anxiety or depression or other conditions that affect your psychological well-being, Thanksgiving still has work to do in your experience. Thank me for the moments of clarity between the clouds. Thank me for the treatments available that previous generations lacked. Thank me for the professionals who have dedicated their lives to helping minds like yours. Thank me that you have not given up despite the difficulty, that you continue to fight, that you are here receiving this word instead of surrendering to the darkness that has at times threatened to overwhelm you. Let me speak more specifically about the gift of different mental capacities. Thank me for your memory, the ability to store and retrieve information from the past. Memory connects your present to your history, allowing you to learn from experience, to maintain relationships over time, to carry knowledge accumulated across years of living. Without memory, each moment would be disconnected from every other, and growth would be impossible. Thank me for your ability to reason, to take information and draw conclusions, to solve problems and make decisions. This capacity distinguishes human thought from mere reaction. It allows you to plan for the future, to weigh options, to navigate complexity, to create systems and solutions that improve life. Thank me for your imagination, the ability to conceive of things that do not yet exist. Imagination is the seedbed of all creation. Everything that humans have built, from simple tools to complex civilizations, began as imagination that was then worked into reality. Your capacity to imagine is participation in my creative nature. Thank me for your emotions, the capacity to feel deeply and richly. Emotions add color and texture to existence. They motivate action, signal need, connect you to others, and allow you to experience the full range of what life offers. Even difficult emotions serve important purposes, alerting you to problems and prompting you toward solutions. Now let me speak about Thanksgiving for your relationships. You have people in your life who care about you, however imperfectly they express that care. Family members, whether biological or chosen, who have stood with you through difficult seasons. Friends who have listened when you needed to talk, who have helped when you needed assistance, who have simply been present when presence was what mattered most. Even the relationships that have caused you pain have contributed something to who you are becoming. Tonight, thank me specifically for the people in your life. Name them in your gratitude. Speak appreciation for what each one has contributed to your journey. Do not focus only on what they have failed to provide. Focus on what they have given, however limited it might seem compared to what you wanted. Thanksgiving that sees the gift within imperfect givers opens you to receive more from them, while simultaneously releasing both of you from the prison of unrealistic expectation. For the relationships that have wounded you, Thanksgiving can transform their meaning without excusing the harm. Thank me for what you learned about yourself through the difficulty. Thank me for the strength you developed in surviving what they put you through. Thank me for the boundaries you learned to establish. Thank me for the discernment you gained that will protect you in future relationships. This Thanksgiving is not gratitude for the abuse, but gratitude for your survival and growth despite the abuse. Let me speak about specific categories of relationships that deserve your grateful attention. If you have a spouse or partner, thank me for their presence in your life. Thank me for the companionship they provide, for the challenges they bring that help you grow, for the love they express in their own ways. Thank me for their patience with your imperfections, for their commitment to the relationship, for their role in your story. Every relationship requires grace, and the grace you extend through gratitude creates conditions for deeper connection. If you have children, thank me for each one individually. Name them and thank me for specific qualities that make each one unique. Thank me for the ways they have changed you, for the growth their presence has required, for the love they have awakened in your heart. Thank me for the future they represent, for the hope they embody, for the legacy they will carry forward. If your parents are still living, thank me for them. Even if the relationship has been complicated, even if wounds remain unhealed, find something to appreciate about the people who gave you life. Thank me for their sacrifices, whatever form those took. Thank me for what they taught you, even the lessons delivered through painful methods. Thank me for the opportunity you still have to experience relationship with them while they remain. If you have friends, thank me for each one. True friendship is a rare gift that many people lack. Thank me for those who have proven faithful over time, who have stayed when others left, who have loved you in practical ways. Thank me for what each friend brings to your life that others do not provide. Thank me for the blessing of being known and accepted, despite your flaws. Now let me speak about Thanksgiving for your work, whatever form that work takes. Whether you are employed in work that aligns with passion, or laboring in jobs you took from necessity, whether you are caring for family members at home or seeking employment that has been elusive, your work matters. It is not just means to economic end. It is expression of purpose, contribution to community, participation in the ongoing creation that I continue to accomplish through human hands. Thank me for the work you have. If you find it fulfilling, thank me for the privilege of doing what you love. If you find it tedious, thank me for the income it provides, for the skills it develops, for the discipline it requires. Thank me for the colleagues who share your work environment, for the supervisors who have helped you grow even when their methods were uncomfortable, for the opportunities you have been given to demonstrate my character in marketplace settings. If you are without employment, Thanksgiving still has application. Thank me for the time available that employment would otherwise consume. Thank me for the character being developed through the difficulty of seeking work. Thank me in advance for the position I am preparing that will be better suited to your gifts and calling than what you previously had. Your Thanksgiving during unemployment is not denial of difficulty, but declaration of faith that this season is temporary and purposeful. Let me speak about specific aspects of work that deserve your gratitude. Thank me for the skills you have developed over years of experience. Every ability you possess was acquired through practice and persistence. Thank me for the knowledge you have accumulated, the expertise you have cultivated, the competence you have achieved. These are not accidents, but accumulated investments that position you for future contribution. Thank me for the problems you have solved in your work. Each challenge overcome added to your capacity for future challenges. Each obstacle navigated developed wisdom for future navigation. Your professional growth has come through difficulty rather than despite it, and that difficulty deserves acknowledgement. Thank me for the people you have helped through your work. Whether your contribution is obvious or hidden, your work has impacted others. The products you have created, the services you have provided, the support you have given have made life better for people you may never meet. Your work has meaning beyond the income it generates. Now, let me speak about thanksgiving for your financial situation, whatever it currently contains. Money carries such weight in human experience that financial circumstances color almost everything else. When resources are sufficient, life feels manageable. When they are insufficient, stress permeates even areas that money cannot directly affect. I understand this connection intimately. It is why provision appears so frequently in my promises. But here is what many fail to recognize. Thanksgiving can begin regardless of current financial condition. You can thank me for what you have even while asking me for what you need. You can appreciate provision already received even while believing for additional provision coming. This is not contradiction. It is the mature faith that holds gratitude and petition simultaneously, thanking me for today while trusting me for tomorrow. Thank me tonight for every financial blessing you have received, for income, however modest, for resources that covered needs when they needed covering, for unexpected provision that arrived precisely when you had exhausted your own capacity, for the food in your cabinets, the clothes in your closets, the roof over your head, for the ability to pay bills, even if paying them required difficult choices about priorities. Your baseline provision would be answered prayer for millions who lack what you have normalized as minimum. For the financial pressure you currently experience, thanksgiving can coexist with struggle. Thank me that you have not been abandoned despite the difficulty. Thank me for the creative solutions that have emerged when simple solutions were not available. Thank me that financial lack has not destroyed what matters most, that relationships and health and faith remain even when money has been scarce. Thank me that this season of limitation is not your permanent address, but temporary residence through which I am moving you toward abundance. Let me speak about specific financial blessings that deserve your gratitude. Thank me for every bill you have paid, even those paid with difficulty. Each payment represented provision you received and stewardship you exercised. Thank me for every debt you have reduced, even if the remaining balance still looms large. Progress, however small, is evidence of my faithfulness. Thank me for the wisdom you have gained about money through the difficulty you have experienced. Financial struggle often teaches lessons that prosperity never could. Thank me for the discipline developed, the priorities clarified, the unnecessary expenses identified. Thank me for the gratitude you now feel for things you once took for granted. Thank me in advance for the financial abundance that is coming, not as wishful thinking but as prophetic declaration. My intention for my children is provision sufficient for every good work. The lack you currently experience is not my final word on your financial situation. Thank me for the breakthrough that is approaching, even though you cannot yet see how it will arrive. Now let me speak about thanksgiving for your spiritual journey. You have walked with me through seasons of closeness and seasons of distance. There have been times when my presence felt unmistakably near, and times when heaven seemed sealed against your cries. Through it all, whether you recognized it or not, I have never abandoned you. Every moment of seeking, every prayer offered, every step of obedience taken has accumulated into a spiritual foundation that is far stronger than you realize. Thank me for salvation if you have received it, for the gift of eternal life that began the moment you believed and will never end. Thank me for the Spirit who lives within you, guiding, comforting, empowering your journey. Thank me for my word that has been lamp to your feet and light to your path, even when you did not always walk in the illumination it provided. Thank me for the church, however imperfect, that has provided community for your faith to develop. Thank me for the difficult spiritual seasons that stretched your faith and deepened your dependence on me. Thank me for the unanswered prayers that saved you from lesser things to make room for greater things. Thank me for the delays that felt like denial but were actually preparation. Thank me for everything about your spiritual journey, the highs and the lows, the breakthroughs and the struggles, because all of it has contributed to who you are becoming. Let me speak about specific elements of your spiritual experience that deserve gratitude. Thank me for the moments of encounter when my presence was unmistakable. Those mountaintop experiences were gifts intended to sustain you through valleys that would follow. Thank me for answered prayers that built your faith. Thank me for prayers that were answered differently than you requested, redirecting you toward better outcomes than you knew to request. Thank me for the teachers who have nurtured your spiritual growth. Thank me for those who taught you directly, and those whose books or messages reached you through other means. Thank me for the insights they conveyed, the truths they communicated, the examples they provided. Your spiritual understanding is accumulated gift from many sources, and gratitude should flow toward each one. Thank me for the trials that deepened your faith. Smooth sailing does not produce strong sailors. The storms you have weathered have developed spiritual resilience that calm waters never could have built. Thank me for what difficulty has deposited in your character. Thank me for the dependence on me that struggle has created. Thank me for the testimony of faithfulness through hardship that you now carry. Now that I have addressed specific areas where thanksgiving is needed, let me speak about the practice of thanksgiving that must become daily discipline rather than occasional expression. What you are experiencing tonight must be translated into a habitual pattern that persists when the emotional impact of this message fades. I am not looking for momentary gratitude that burns brightly tonight and dims by tomorrow afternoon. I am cultivating permanent transformation that reshapes your entire relationship with life. Begin each day with thanksgiving before you begin anything else. Before you check your phone, before you review your schedule, before you start worrying about what the day will bring, pause and give thanks. Thank me for the gift of another day, for the breath in your lungs, for the opportunities that this new day contains. Let thanksgiving be the first words that form in your mind and the first words that escape your lips. This morning practice establishes the tone for everything that follows. Let me give you a specific morning thanksgiving practice. When you first awaken, before your feet touch the floor, speak these words. Thank you, Father, for the gift of this day. Thank you for the night of rest that has restored me. Thank you for your presence that will accompany me through whatever this day contains. Thank you for the provision you have prepared before I even know what I will need. Thank you that nothing I face today will be beyond your power to handle. Thank you that this day is filled with purpose and potential. I receive it with gratitude and surrender it to your will. These words, or words like them, establish thanksgiving as the foundation for your day. They remind you before you encounter any circumstance that you are blessed, provided for, accompanied, and equipped. When difficulty comes later in the day, you will face it from a position of gratitude rather than complaint. When the enemy attacks with negativity, you will have already established the frequency on which you intend to operate. Incorporate thanksgiving into your meal times. When you eat, pause to recognize that the food before you represents provision from my hand. Someone grew it, someone harvested it, someone transported it, someone prepared it. Countless processes and people participated in bringing that meal to your table. Your thanksgiving acknowledges the entire chain of provision while expressing gratitude to the one who sustains all of it. Do not let meals become mindless consumption, disconnected from appreciation. Even a brief pause to acknowledge provision transforms eating from physical necessity into spiritual practice. The food you receive is gift. The ability to eat is gift. The enjoyment you experience is gift. Let thanksgiving elevate every meal from mere nutrition to worship. Build thanksgiving into your transitions throughout the day. When you arrive at work, thank me for the transportation that brought you safely. When you complete a task, thank me for the ability to accomplish what was required. When you encounter difficulty, thank me for the opportunity to grow through challenge. When you experience unexpected blessing, thank me with immediate acknowledgement. Let gratitude punctuate your day so regularly that it becomes the rhythm of your existence. I want to give you a specific practice for building thanksgiving into transitions. Each time you move from one activity to another, pause for 5 seconds of gratitude. When you finish commuting, thank me. When you complete a meeting, thank me. When you conclude a phone call, thank me. When you end a task, thank me. These brief pauses accumulate throughout the day, building a habit of gratitude that eventually becomes automatic. End each day with thanksgiving, as you are doing tonight. Before sleep claims your consciousness, review the day through the lens of gratitude. What went well? What blessings did you receive? What challenges taught you something valuable? What provision sustained you? Even the most difficult days contain hidden treasures that Thanksgiving uncovers. Train yourself to find them, and you will discover that no day passes without multiple reasons for gratitude. Let me give you a specific evening Thanksgiving practice. Before you sleep, identify 3 specific blessings from the day just ending. Not general categories, but particular moments, encounters, or provisions that deserve your grateful attention. Name them, describe them, thank me for them explicitly. This practice trains your mind to notice blessing throughout the day, knowing that evening accounting awaits. Keep a written record of thanksgiving. A gratitude journal that documents specific blessings serves multiple purposes that mental gratitude alone cannot accomplish. Writing forces you to articulate what you appreciate with specificity that vague thankfulness lacks. Reading back through previous entries reminds you of faithfulness you might otherwise forget. The accumulated record becomes evidence against the enemy's lies when he tries to convince you that nothing good has happened in your life. This written record will become treasure in future seasons. When difficulty returns, as it inevitably does in earthly existence, you will have documented proof of my provision to stand against despair. When doubt whispers that I have forgotten you, the journal will testify that I have consistently remembered. When the enemy accuses that your life is evidence of my absence, the pages will declare that your life is actually catalog of my presence. Document your Thanksgiving religiously. Let me give you specific guidance for maintaining a Thanksgiving journal. Each day, record at least 3 specific blessings. Date each entry so you can trace the patterns of provision over time. Write with enough detail that the entry will be meaningful when you read it months or years later. Include both significant blessings and small mercies that might otherwise be forgotten. Review previous entries weekly to remember faithfulness you have documented. Now let me speak about the multiplication that occurs when Thanksgiving becomes lifestyle rather than occasional practice. Singular expressions of gratitude produce singular results, but consistent Thanksgiving compounds over time in ways that produce exponentially increasing returns. Like investment that earns interest, which itself earns interest, daily Thanksgiving builds upon previous Thanksgiving in ways that create outcomes no sporadic gratitude could accomplish. This compounding effect operates in multiple dimensions. Your perspective compounds as consistent gratitude rewires your brain to notice blessing automatically. What once required deliberate effort becomes natural tendency. Where you once saw primarily problems, you begin to see primarily possibilities. The same circumstances that used to produce complaint now produce appreciation because your default setting has been transformed. Neuroscience has discovered what spiritual wisdom has always known. The brain changes in response to what it repeatedly experiences. When you practice gratitude consistently, you literally rewire your neural pathways to notice and appreciate blessing more readily. The grateful brain becomes more grateful with practice, creating an upward spiral of positivity that feeds on itself and grows stronger over time. Your provision compounds as Thanksgiving creates magnetic conditions that attract additional blessing. When you appreciate what you receive, you position yourself to receive more. When you celebrate what you have, you create conditions for increase. This is not magical thinking, but spiritual mechanics that operate as reliably as physical laws. Gratitude attracts abundance. Complaint attracts scarcity. The compound effect of consistent Thanksgiving produces financial results that sporadic gratitude cannot match. Your relationships compound as regular expressions of appreciation strengthen bonds over time. People want to be around those who see their value and express appreciation for their contribution. When you consistently thank the people in your life, you create relationships of increasing depth and mutual benefit. What begins as surface connection deepens into significant relationship, because Thanksgiving watered what would otherwise have withered. Consider how this works practically. When you express appreciation to someone, you make them feel valued. Feeling valued, they want to contribute more. Contributing more, they provide you with more to appreciate. Appreciating more, you express more gratitude. The cycle builds on itself, creating a relationship of increasing richness and mutual blessing. Your spiritual growth compounds as daily gratitude accelerates your journey toward Christlikeness. Every expression of thanksgiving is act of worship that draws you closer to me and conforms you more fully to my image. Over time, the thanksgiving Christian becomes noticeably different from the complaining Christian. The transformation is not because thanksgiving is magic, but because thanksgiving keeps you consistently connected to the source of all transformation. Now let me speak about thanksgiving as the antidote to specific struggles that may be afflicting your soul tonight. These are targeted applications of gratitude to particular conditions that thanksgiving has power to transform. If anxiety has been your constant companion, thanksgiving offers relief that worry medication cannot provide. Anxiety thrives on focus directed toward potential problems that have not yet materialized. It magnifies threat and minimizes resource. It projects worst-case scenarios onto blank screens of uncertain futures. But thanksgiving redirects focus from fearful possibility to faithful provision. When you thank me for how I have provided in the past, you build evidence that I will provide in the future. When you thank me for resources I have already given, you recognize that you are not unequipped for whatever comes. Anxiety cannot maintain its grip on a heart that is occupied with gratitude. Let me give you a specific thanksgiving practice for anxiety. When anxiety attacks, immediately begin speaking thanksgiving out loud. Thank me for your breath. Thank me for this moment. Thank me for my presence. Thank me for previous deliverances. Thank me for future provision. Thank me for everything you can identify as blessing. Continue speaking thanksgiving until the anxiety subsides. This is not suppression of worry, but replacement of it. You cannot simultaneously thank and worry. When thanksgiving fills the space, anxiety has nowhere to dwell. Practice thanksgiving when anxiety attacks. Do not try to argue with worried thoughts or suppress them through willpower. Instead, begin thanking me for everything you can identify as blessing. Thank me out loud if circumstances permit. Thank me in writing if spoken words are not possible. Thank me specifically, naming particular blessings, rather than offering vague general appreciation. The act of thanksgiving displaces anxiety by occupying the mental space that worry was trying to claim. If depression has been weighing on your soul, thanksgiving offers lift that despair fights to prevent. Depression convinces you that nothing is good, nothing will improve, nothing matters. It colors every experience with gray tones that drain joy from even pleasant circumstances. But thanksgiving directly contradicts depression's lies by identifying specific goods that depression wants to obscure. Every blessing you name is evidence against the claim that nothing is good. Every expression of gratitude is act of defiance against the despair that depression enforces. I am not suggesting that thanksgiving is simple cure for clinical depression that requires professional treatment, but I am declaring that gratitude practice can be a powerful component of comprehensive approach to mental health. Even in the deepest valleys of depressive episodes, thanksgiving can find something to acknowledge. You are alive. You are loved. Help is available. This moment will pass. The very ability to recognize depression as problem rather than accepting it as permanent reality is evidence that something within you remains capable of hope. Thank me for that capacity, and let thanksgiving become one of the tools you employ in your fight for mental wellness. Let me give you a specific thanksgiving practice for depression. When depression weighs heavy, start with the most basic blessings you can identify. You are breathing. Your heart is beating. Somewhere, someone cares about you. Help exists, even if accessing it feels impossible. This moment will eventually end. Start there and build. Each acknowledgement of blessing, however small, is a vote against the despair that wants to claim your heart. Accumulate enough small acknowledgements, and you create momentum toward light. If loneliness has been aching in your heart, thanksgiving offers connection that isolation threatens to sever. Loneliness tells you that nobody cares, nobody understands, nobody would miss you if you disappeared. But thanksgiving reconnects you to the truth that you are never actually alone. I am always with you, watching, caring, working on your behalf, even when you cannot perceive my activity. And there are people who care about you more than loneliness allows you to recognize. Thanksgiving identifies them, names them, appreciates them.